Hello class, my name is Andres Gutierrez and today I would like to speak about the highly controversial topic of immigration. Whether you define yourself as a Democrat or Republican, this issue touches base with everyone. The fact is that Central American governments are in social and economic turmoil, and due to this we have had an influx of desperate immigrants for the past two White House administrations. Now, immigration has started since the birth of our nation. But I really wanted to highlight on the past two administrations that covered a Democratic president and our current Republican president in order to highlight more recent events. The poor conditions of asylum seekers are everywhere in southern border facilities, and in some cases, even death. Conditions at ICE facilities are worsening as space is becoming fairly limited. During the Trump administration, Democratic individuals have advocated for these asylum seekers and sanctioned cities that President Trump has tried to highlight as cities of crime and people with malicious actions. 21 people have died under ICE custody, and among those was a 16-year-old boy who died from a fever with no medical attention until he was found dead. These are the most recent cases just from this past year. And with that being said, no one deserves to go through poor conditions while in search of a better life, even more a kid who is separated from his family. Not only has ICE stopped immigrants from coming in to our homeland, but home invasions have also increased in the past couple years. If this isn't touching your humanitarian side, then maybe we're letting the fire get cold. The fire that was once lit by immigrants from all places in search of a better life, in search of the United States of America. What they are facing in these facilities is the separation of families and the lack of provision for their health. I am pretty sure you have all heard of these conditions these immigrants have received within the past 2 years. One can argue with what money will they provide for them when Americans are struggling financially to provide for their own, and with even more reason during this pandemic. The answer gets political very quick, which is why there's multiple viewpoints to this issue, as well as it being highly controversial. As to solutions, either party claims to have it, but neither party in the past two presidencies was able to get a real solution through Washington. One side wants to keep them out, while the other is trying to let them in and stay within these sanctioned cities. The president even passed an executive order suspending immigration during the COVID-19 pandemic in order to keep immigrants from taking American jobs. The president's most famous slogan was "Build the Wall," which he was never able to get through Congress because not many agreed with him. And yes, this president I'm speaking of currently is our current president, Donald Trump. Now, do these sound like solutions to you? Well, maybe they do. There is no right answer, which is why it is controversial. Interestingly, the Washington Post claims that this year the United States is on track to admit half the number of legal immigrants than it did back in 2016. To many people, this is quite troubling since there is still illegal immigrants that live in the United States waiting for their citizenship. The fear of getting lost in the list or not making the cut for another year is terrifying for some families. But where can you really find the balance of those getting their citizenship between those waiting and those coming for seeking for one? Another point to make is what American jobs are being taken. More than 3 million migrant workers are undocumented, which means fruits and vegetables you are buying from your grocery store were more likely picked from the immigrants who we are speaking of. The problem starts with the same reason why they left their homeland. America has always been a land for immigrants, the lighthouse in sight within the big waves, a place for asylum for those who seek. At this moment, things are more complicated with COVID-19 still on the loose. But this still does not mean that the borders aren't being flooded with hope seekers who are searching for a better chance to survive the pandemic. With America being one of the most advanced in medical field, it's within their best interest for these asylum seekers to look for the hope on the other side. It is time to take back our roots and light the fire that was hot once for all to have the opportunity in the United States of America. Thank you for your time.